Welcome to the Ohio Arts Council's Rife Gallery Programming Series for our current show in Ohio, curated by Shar Norman. Today, we are thrilled to present the artist, Michael Scheurer. As a brief reminder, everyone tuning in today is in listen-only mode, so feel free to utilize that chat function to ask questions, and we'll be sure to get to them at the end of the talk. Also, please keep in mind that because we're presenting from separate locations, there might be some variation of bandwidth, so if one of us freezes up or the sound fluctuates, thanks in advance for bearing with us. All right, thanks everyone, and welcome Michael and Kelly.
Why, hello there.
Greetings.
Good to be here, and thanks for everything.
Yeah, greetings everyone. My name is Kelly O'Donnell.
My name is Michael Scheurer.
I'm the former deputy director of the Weston Art Gallery in the Aronoff Center for the Arts. I worked there for 25 years, and that is how I met Michael Scheurer. He had an exhibition at the Weston in 2003-2004 season with Jenny Honert-Abel. It was a two-person show, and I was immediately transfixed by Michael's work when I first saw it. My background is in art history, and so he was using just a vast array of art historical references and this mashup of patterns and cultural references, and I was just very engaged by that. So a few years later, we decided to start working together, and in 2008, I started inventorying and cataloging his work and helping him with exhibition opportunities, and his just general communications. So we've been working together for a long time, and that's why the OAC invited me today to facilitate this conversation. We're going to start with a statement first about Michael Scheurer by the numbers. So Michael has had over 40 exhibitions in really more than 50 years of artistic output. He has enjoyed 8 solo exhibitions, notably at the Contemporary Arts Center in 1988, which was curated by Jan Riley. And also he had a major retrospective at the Weston Art Gallery in Cincinnati at the Aronoff, which I curated along with Dennis Harrington, the former director of the Weston. And during that exhibition, we produced a monograph called Signature Shore. It was designed by Scott Bruno of B Graphic Design. And in 2017, it won an award from the Ohio Museums Association. So we're very proud of that project. Since Michael and I have been working together, I've been tracking his collages, and he's created over 450 unique collages and prints that I know of. And it's a lot to organize. His work is held in collections, private collections, really from Los Angeles to New York, and as far away as Sydney, Australia. He also is in a public collection at the Ohio State University Libraries. He's in the Thompson Special Collections. So that's a little background about him. Now I'm going to hand this over to Michael at this point, and we're just going to chat. He's going to start with an artist statement, and then we're going to talk about the early years of his work, artists who inspired him, his studio spaces. We're going to talk about recent work, like within the last 10 years. And then we're going to talk about work that specifically is in the current exhibition.
Okay, how can I thank Kelly enough for what she just said? And then here's my statement, right? Many are called, few are chosen, is how I've always felt about being an artist. I knew I was an artist at a very young age. Being aware of that was obvious to those around me, especially my mother. She encouraged me from the beginning by getting fine materials. Crayons are in every house with children, but my mother got better and better things like poster paints, pastels, colored pencils, and even oil pastels. I had crow quill pens for pen and ink for delicate and intricate work. I grew up during the advent of magic markers. So, let's see, page 2.
Okay, it does screen too.
Okay. Everyone in my family was thrilled with my talent and would love to watch me draw. My teachers took serious notice by making me the first to be selected for making posters or other projects like fancy lettering. Customizing binders was a side hustle, as was making special greeting cards for my classmates. I was serious about getting it just so as far as composition and balance. This made me popular with others, which was powerful. Other kids would be thrilled to watch me intensely draw. Early on, I had all the masters to look up to at the museum and art books from the library. I became ultra aware of contemporary artists of my age, from Picasso to Warhol, from Life magazine. Knowledge was ever expanding reality. Learning about other artists was a validating experience. I felt like I was one of them. Local and international art gave me a reason to pursue art as a serious discipline. I'm blessed to have art making as a calling and to explore its limits, which will never cease to amaze me. Every
That's
day.
wonderful.
What?
No, that's a comment. Okay, so now we're
Oh,
gonna start talking about your bio.
okay. Here's my bio.
So how old are you there in that picture?
That's my kindergarten school picture. I've got a buzz haircut. And yeah, I won't say punk rock or anything. That wasn't in style just yet. And then this book was a famous book in our house.
Your sister Gail told me that this book was very meaningful to you.
Okay, and if you saw the other illustrations, it's like a garbage truck going around and picking up all of this real good looking trash. So yeah, it was a real interesting. I loved children's books, of course, illustrated books. So
So you were born in 1954 in Cincinnati,
there's no escaping that.
and you were raised in Clifton,
Yes, in Clifton, and
very
then
big family.
yeah, big family, and then I had all kinds of. The neighborhood was very lively by the university. There were lots of professors, art professors actually in my neighborhood.
And your father was a professor.
My
at
father
St.
was a professor at Xavier, but even way back, he was a teacher at various public schools and the like.
And
So,
your mom was a big influence on your.
oh yeah, my mom, I think, was a sort of a frustrated artist herself, and or maybe designer, or she was very stylish. So I think she had a lot to do with, of all of her children, if she saw the kind of talent or potential, she would really be, one to encourage everything, like I was saying to begin with. So,
And your sisters tell me that she took you everywhere.
oh yeah,
You
well,
just went to art classes.
art museum for sure. The Cincinnati Art Museum was the place to go. The galleries, there were a few galleries, one in Hyde Park, one downtown. We went to those. And
I think that's pretty progressive.
yeah,
for
definitely.
Children.
Or no,
to take
definitely.
children
Even
through
at
galleries,
10 years
commercial
old,
galleries.
let's say, for instance, I was big fan of Miro, Picasso, all of those, artists that were kind of in the news or very, very made very popular by that time. So
Now, you would consider yourself self-taught
self-taught for
as
sure.
an artist,
Yes,
but you do have some background in liberal studies at Xavier.
a little bit. And then I
lived in New York.
lived in New York, and I went to the Institute, the
Fashion
Fashion
Institute.
Institute of Technology, but that's not an art school for sure.
That's where you really discovered textile design.
Yeah,
The
or
history of
I was
it.
way into it anyway by that time. So yeah, I was dealing in Oriental rugs and antiques all my life. So yeah.
This is a really charming photo. I just love this.
Okay, well, this
Can you
is
tell us
me
what's going on
standing
there?
right in front of Robert F. Kennedy.
So
And
how old are you?
I was maybe 12 years old, it looks like. Yeah. And so I had a poster in the contest and I won the contest. And so you can see the other children in this picture that also had posters in the contest. And I'm not going to say I was blowing anybody out of the water but my thing is op art in the background, like a checkerboard, but kind of psychedelic. And then where it says Gilligan, which is John Gilligan, who was running for governor at the time.
No, he was running for Congress.
Congress, but he had been
He
governor
became-
of Ohio.
He became governor.
Okay, okay, my bad. But
Yeah.
anyway, so you can't see this in this black and white photo, but it was the Gilligan is day glow sticker.
Oh my.
So yeah, it was pretty intense. Compared, I'm just saying this not to be mean to the others, but I had the most happening poster in the show.
For sure.
And then I'm wearing hop sack Levi's with no socks and Legions. So those are penny loafers for those who don't know, and an Oxford cloth shirt, which I'm sure Bobby Kennedy would have noticed that I was dressed sort of preppy at the time. My hair is parted in a Kennedy kind of style.
Oh my.
So yeah, I'm way into that photo.
Well, so let's talk about the artist who inspired you as a young person and who continued to.
Okay,
inspire
that
you
would be
today.
Saul Steinberg. We're looking at that right there. And there were two famous murals that came out of Cincinnati, and they're in the Cincinnati Art Museum. So this is Saul Steinberg that was in the dining room of the Terrace Hilton Hotel.
Did you ever get to go there?
No. That was too late for me to, or too early and late for me to see that in situ. So that was the one mural that's in the Cincinnati Art Museum that was really hit me as a kid. And then the other one is Miro, another huge mural. And I already was like a big fan of his artwork as a little kid. I was real into.
What about Matisse?
Matisse, I liked plenty. You know, that was like a no-brainer.
Why? Why do you say that?
The
do you like
colors, and then the kind of like textile looking patterns. I like that. And then yeah, so
I think the picture of space for Matisse is very similar to how you work. Also, that
Yeah, okay.
flattening of the
yeah, maybe so. Well, yeah,
dimensions of space.
yeah. All right, Miro, which we're looking at on
Your
that side.
favorite.
Yeah, my fave. And so this was the kind of artist that really, really spoke to me as a kid. And it was so childlike in a way, but also anthropomorphic and all of these symbols, and they are kind of like mystery, or you don't know for sure. And yeah, I love him. I love him to this day. I'm very, very, I've been reading some about him lately, a book by
Anthony Penrose.
or Roland Penrose.
Penrose.
Yeah. So yeah, fascinating artwork. And then even these pictures with him as an old man with these giant, or actually in this one, just a painting on an easel that is a masterpiece.
Well, I think that studio space, that natural kind of
Mhm.
studio space, is very appealing to you. You feel kind of a fraternity with these,
Oh yeah, definitely.
these artists, and that they
Those,
live their lives for art.
oh
They're
yeah, that's
surrounded by
these
it.
those are your heroes, your grandfather of, in this case, of art.
And Juan Miro also was commissioned to create.
Oh yeah,
a
this
piece
is in the
Gourmet
Cincinnati
room.
Art Museum. That's right across from the you think of the gift shop, but this is at the little restaurant at the museum across the way from the restaurant.
Now, this is an artist you refer to.
Okay, yeah,
A
Kurt
lot.
Schwitters was a major, like sort of definitely from Dada, which, you know, as far as that goes, and he had a great effect on me. And a friend of mine's father had picked up 20 collages in Europe after the war, and they were hanging at their house when I was young. So that was unbelievable that I would ever, I don't even think there are any Schwitters per se in the art museum collections. But anyway, I got to see these when I was very young. So
Would you say that Kurt Schwitters kind of made art real for you, like flesh and blood real.
Oh, yet
because
again,
you were
another one of them
in
was,
the
yeah,
room with those pieces that
yeah,
someone
that
actually
was pretty, yeah, pretty heavy duty. That same friend had um, and his father bought this too, was a Warhol Campbell soup can in their collection. So that was stunning. And you know, as being like, if that was 1960 something, that was still like, that was happening at the time. So that same guy, he and I would pretend we were Andy Warhol when we were kids. So
And of course, Picasso.
Picasso, who, never mind if you can't relate, that was a major force. Yes.
So I see a lot of his imagery in your work, this
Okay.
surrealistic, floating
Oh yeah.
symbolism and objects that don't necessarily go together.
Right. Or
Kind of
primitive. Yeah. Yeah.
dreamy,
Opposite. Yeah. Okay.
unconscious. So what is it about the surrealist though that appeals so much to you? Is
Oh.
it their radical?
Right,
views?
Dada also, but I think that was part of it, is like kind of anything goes or accidental and spontaneous and all of those, the exquisite corpse and
What was that?
parlor games. That's where other artists would collaborate or start where you left off, maybe guidelines. So anyway, there is something to that. So
Well, let's look at your early work and
okay.
see how these artists came through.
Okay, pen and ink.
This is a drawing from 1972.
All right.
This
Yeah.
was in the Weston exhibition. So
That was kind of late in my career.
so you were at 18, something like that
Yeah, I
then.
guess, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Love this.
Here's another one. Well, so pen and ink was one of those things where if you had a crow quill pen and you dip it in India ink, yet again, you are, in this case, it is kind of hot dog. You're doing real intense, intricate work, and it's, you know, it gets a lot of people love it because it looks so difficult to kind of really to even do that kind of work. So
I
people loved it.
I heard from your family that you would sit in the kitchen when there were gatherings and you would always have a drawing going.
Oh yeah, always.
Finish
Yeah.
them, pass them around. And
Right. And then it would be like, and I've told this story before, where there would be kids, like not just my family, but any kind of neighborhood thing, like where everybody would be crowding around, because I think the artist is somebody that everyone is going to look up to or feel like they want to vicariously do some of that drawing with you while you're doing it. They want to watch real hard to see.
it's like magic.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's, yeah. Okay. Wow.
This one I chose, 1971 pen and ink, because you described it as being over an existing print. So to me, that was early collaging that
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
you had started embarking on. Can you talk about how you chose this print, or was it a cast off?
Yeah, yeah, just something
something
torn out of a
along those
magazine. And even that was like old. It's not like from a current magazine from 1971. It's definitely something, that old-timey
Mhm.
telephone. Yeah, definitely. Oh, and this is like kind of, I was, had neighbors that had houses that were real, like Victorian and or, decorated in such a way that I would love to. And that might be where this one came from, just like doing a interior, not a Dutch interior, but Clifton. Anyway.
I like the way you incorporated your name into the rug, into
Oh,
the
is it?
pattern of the rug
Yes.
and the date. And there seems to be something secret going on with these numbering of the
Oh, okay.
that tier in the center.
Okay. Okay, and this is a collage that came from an existing um, maybe scrapbook, and they were drawings of women, and their names are right along the bottom there, but I changed all of their faces to suit my fancy and redid their outfits into very colorful. And then the patterns yet again on the different tops that they're wearing.
Yeah.
And then this picture was made into a hand knotted rug made in Nepal by Tibetan refugees. And that was in the 90s.
So that's another reason why I chose this piece, because you really enjoy translating your imagery into other
yeah,
mediums.
exactly.
And
Well,
this was a first try at that.
okay.
And these are some works that are collaborative in nature.
Yeah, somewhat.
sometimes
And
work
that
with-
one, or the one of the little planter with the eyeball sort of flowers or cacti. Well, anyhow, so those were, or it's brass and glass. So it says, and that was a thing that I did with a friend of mine, Johnny Ruja, who helped me to, I could see it, but he was more like a glass, worked with glass, stained glass, whatever, and he helped me to do the soldering and all of that. And then this necklace.
The fetish necklace is something, an area you've been working in for decades.
Yeah, right. I was doing
Collaborating
those
with
since,
others, with
yeah,
your
since the late
sister.
70s and the
Mhm.
80s. I had a jewelry company that I worked with in New York, or that I started with a friend of mine then.
This was a commissioned piece.
Yes,
You
and
created-
that's somebody's pieces that came from their collection, their mother's collection, or jewelry boxes with all kinds of charms. And yeah, so moving right along.
So let's talk about where you work.
I work out of my house, and it's just a complete collage. A few rooms that are just completely piled with material for me to choose from. So,
And here you are getting started on Court Street.
or no, that
Cincinnati,
was
downtown.
7th and Main, and it was like a couple stories up in a downtown building that was it was rough, but yeah, it was a good time.
And this I selected because it's quintessentially your style of working, where you're mashing up an African tribal object with what appears to be a gilt mirror.
Right. Well, definitely the frame was made for a picture that's in a collection. And I had an African statue that I had cut the back off of it and had it put onto what would normally be, so if there's like an eagle or something on the top of a frame, that would be federal style. Well, instead of whatever else would be a crest or something on the top of it, I put this African statue on it, and it was very worthwhile. So there I am in front of that woman. This is
Here we are today.
in today's times. This is
Yeah.
my front room in my apartment, where you can see that it's just like the material overtakes my life. There's no way around it. I'm rifling through boxes at all times, looking for just the right material for the next move in collage making. So there's how that works.
And this is where you house your inventory.
Another room full of pieces to make my artwork with. So
And how long have these boxes been around?
they've been following me, and I've been hauling them from place to place for years.
California, New
Yeah,
York,
even
just wherever you find.
You're right, definitely. I didn't live in, but anyway, I've been like dragging stuff around, and I ship things home from wherever I go in order to keep this material hoarding, uh, to update it and have more to play with. It is almost overwhelmingly ridiculous amounts of paper to have.
But you're always turning through them.
Yes. The fire department does not need to know about it.
Yeah, and here's a close-up of your work table.
A work table where you can see, if you're looking at any collages, even the ones that are in the gallery in Columbus, you can see that there are always blacklight posters are one of my go-to.
Oh, that's a recent,
Yeah,
it's
sort
a
of.
recent cache.
But
that we-
I've been into it for a minute, but I do love that because I like real boring or maybe Victorian kind of mixed in with like some really bright things right next door.
like the
Or
Clash.
yeah, I like
bit.
that. The Clash, the band for sure. But anyway, yeah, that's part of what that means.
I can see motifs immediately in this pile.
Yeah, because there's splattering, which that whole thing where you can see on the floor in this picture, you can see like if I start by just splattering a couple, and that is that way of getting a guiding points to just start my pictures from. So if that makes any sense. Bless your heart.
Okay, so let's look at some recent work, maybe from the
Okay.
last 10 years or so.
Okay.
This was a signature piece in your retrospective. It was used for the poster, for the show poster.
Okay. And then it was made into
Yeah.
wallpaper and put on these bags. I made tote bags for the show.
They were designed by Michelle Roth.
Right. And but using my work, and the whole
Mhm.
thing is when this show came up, I wanted to have merch and merchandise to show along with the show or to have it for sale was really important to me for whatever reason, and it really worked out perfectly.
Oh, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks to
We had a coloring book.
right, coloring
We had
book,
stamps, postage
stamps,
stamps,
yeah, stamp art. Well,
Mhm.
anyway, so
and the totes and wallpaper and the book.
yeah, they were popular. They sold out.
So there it is in action. And here's the wallpaper.
Yep.
So that was the entrance wall of the exhibition, which we also collaged with a piece from 1990, a mixed media assemblage. It's in a private collection. So how did you choose that particular collage for the wallpaper?
Oh, the one with
This is
and
real. Mhm.
yeah, that's really, then it came from some sources. It's from India, like the definitely from a movie poster. You can see like a letter, Hindi, and the sacred cow from, also an Indian image. So yeah, that one came out nice.
But didn't Warhol do
Warhol did a cow wallpaper, not that it was like a complete direct association, but yeah.
So this was kind of a dream fulfilled, being able
Oh
to
yeah,
see
I've
your work.
always wanted to do wallpaper, so there it is. And I know it's been done by many artists, but this is my take on it.
This is a very large series you've been working on for a long time. The paint series are
Mhm.
probably 80 works
Mhm.
in this group, and they are created on the reverse of black and white photos. So it's linen-backed photo paper. You find the linen is conducive
Yeah,
to
it's
canvas.
a cool surface. I haven't done a lot of them recently, but I did go through a lot of it because I had all of these. I bought the contents of file cabinets from a monument company. And like if you turned this over, it would be a photograph of a headstone. Not that that has any whole, it's kind of a secret.
But you've maintained the notations or any kind of markings that were on the back of the photos,
Yeah,
and you've merely integrated them
right.
into your
It
composition.
makes it look like, yeah, I'm making notes about my moves on the collage making. But here again, you can see that the splatter of just paint, which is so spontaneous and everything else, but it directs me on what else to move on. And even in this case, this is a 3 pieces of paper.
Essentially.
Essentially, yeah, this is not so crowded as some of the pictures get. So
Also in the paint series.
same with this one.
It has
And
a little devilish anecdote at the
oh right,
bottom.
yeah, there we go. Fire burn.
This is one of my favorite pairings of your work, from the blue series.
The reason it's Kelly's favorite is Kelly owns these two pictures because she's greedy. No,
have them.
They really truly are.
Buy them, so.
And every time I
just love
see
them.
them, I'm like completely reminded of if they are from that many years ago,
Well, I love the mystery of them.
still
and
working.
I
Yeah.
love the metaphorical references to time, and I do show them together, so.
Okay, that's wonderful. Well, thank you for getting those from me. Moving
This
right
is
along.
a very popular series, the Girl series, of which I know of maybe 90 that you've created
Shoot.
or that we have found, discovered.
Hundreds.
People have come to me and said, I have a girl from the 70s, and then we added to the inventory. This is one of the more recent ones, 2012. This Girl series is a little bit different because the background has changed, but can you
Oh, okay. Well,
describe some of the hallmarks of a girl?
I've been kind of making this drawing.
Boys, he does boys too, but primarily girls.
Okay, well, I've been doing this kind of little portrait for a long while, like maybe my whole career. But it's gotten it's reached if you do something so like repetitively and you do it like I would do this in my sleep, or if I were in a psychiatric facility, I would just probably do these like crazy, and that's what that is. It's like something over and over again. And then all you've got to do is add some of this, in this case, like a little bit of collage work, and then put different eyes on the face that you're drawing. And it just adds a whole new kind of.
There's an androgyny.
Whoa.
There's a kind of world weariness to these
Oh, yeah.
to these portraits that I love.
Yeah, well, same here. It's great. And then in this case, you can see like I've used to make it's maybe lingerie or a camisole, and it's kind of in a, you know, it's kind of provocative.
This is a very small series, and it's not showing on screen very well, but this is actually beautifully gold flecked
Gold.
wallpaper.
Right, and it has this.
I like the way you incorporate text.
Oh, right. Well, in this case,
foreign
it is
languages.
very graphic, kind of, in that there are letters from some very ancient language or ancient writing. So there that is, and it is, yet again, this is another one where it's only 4 or 5 pieces of paper on an existing, in this case, wallpaper.
And I recognize the cherry blossom motif.
Right.
That's from an
Indian movie
cinema
poster. Yeah, definitely.
And maybe some marbled book paper.
Yeah, a little bit of that, and yeah, we're good.
You're not afraid to cut up anything, are you?
No, I'll do that. I'll take a pretty rare book on historic violins and I'll tear it up. Oh, I will cut that up.
This is a pairing that I wanted to show. It's from a very recent work. This was created during the pandemic, and one thing that maybe people don't know about your work is that often your collages are stronger when they're in groups or in suites.
Oh, right.
Where
Okay. Yeah.
They seem to have a conversation with each other. I shouldn't say stronger, but they lend themselves to being paired or.
Oh, right. Or, if you can have
Suites of them.
if you get a suite of 4 or 5 pictures, they tend to tell a story, or they are really work well together as a narrative or lyrical kind of thing.
And this is actually, these are in a private collection in Maine. Can you describe the some of the details that we're seeing?
Oh, well, yeah, or just yet again, these are the kind of things that they look so effortless in a way. They probably give me a lot of trouble, but they are definitely only a few pieces of paper are laid down over the existing splatters of paint, which are expressive enough. But then all of the other elements are very, very like if I must say so, well thought out but yeah, doesn't take much.
Well, let's look at the work that's in the current show.
Okay, let's do this. There's all my people.
We had a great time at the opening.
Yes, it was really wonderful. Thanks to everybody
Thanks to
there.
Kat and Panagiotta who made it happen.
And Toyota, they're definitely my people from now on. And I was happy to be around all those other artists from all corners of the state. Way to go, Ohio.
So this is a work from the Blue series, also created during the pandemic.
Oh,
These are very mysterious. People are drawn to them. It has the book plates. I can see the engravings from maybe Victorian books
oh yeah,
in the
maybe so.
background. This is another series called Inky. And you actually titled this one, which is unusual.
Okay, well, I don't
The
put titles
life-
on some, but anyway, that's one I love. Or I just do love the collage, but then the Lives of Saints, which I have read books on this, and it's always interesting because it's like limitless. And so for whatever reason, just the suggestion, and you can see that it is like a very like a collision of things, I
It's
guess.
like a vortex.
Yeah, right. But
energy.
anyway, yeah, but it shows like just maybe the most extreme, you know, collision or something. But anyway, I love it. And I love the fact that the ink and the moving, if I even kind of dragged another piece of paper over the paint while it was still wet, it made it looks like it's in motion kind of thing. So enough said. Thank you.
Here's another from Inky.
Yes. Yet again, this one is just like a splatter and a little bit of paper. 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of paper holding some kind of like expressive cloud, which yeah, it looks, you can see some kind of human shapes and yet again, anthropomorphic kind of suggestions of shapes.
And this is my favorite recent series.
Yes, and
Designs for the Wings of Moths.
yep, and there were a good 20 or so pictures in that series. And they kept coming out in this fashion, which strike the hammer while it's hot kind of thing, where you just keep working a kind of, novel something that you got going. You just have to keep doing it to get everything out of all of this,
Well,
so
is it the material that gets
yeah,
irritated or
that I think
composition?
that you're in some kind of, you reach or a vortex or no or a matrix of like material that can come into play, and it just makes you create pieces like this, I guess. Oh my. All right, and then this one you can see are some just splotches in color, like poster paints or something that somebody, and sometimes it's like just existing work that was like
you
from,
cut up
well, definitely.
notebooks from people.
Yeah, notebooks, coloring books, people's messed up artwork.
Sketch pads.
Yeah, all of that. So,
well, where did this title come from? Designs of the Wings of Moths.
well, I
You've
thought
never given a title to
I
any
know,
of
but
the
anyway,
series.
for this whole series, I just felt like that had such a, it almost sounds like some literary or, you know, uh, kind of sound to it. So it sort of sounded a little bit hoity, or, I didn't know whether it really meant anything. So, but we can all look at it as like, okay, the designs of wings of moths, we all know that moths and natural design, in order to, you know, be kept from being eaten by some other animal. So you've got, there's all kinds of like reasons why animals or insects, like in this case, have those kind of,
But I think it's almost a reverence for
right. So,
their designs.
oh, never,
And then
okay,
finally,
okay.
This
Wow.
is your most recent piece. We just got it framed for the exhibition.
Oh, okay, yeah, this is in
And
the show and it's,
there's your Daigle poster, right?
yeah, okay, there's, yeah, definitely you can see some of the blacklight poster. There's a lot of it there, but at the same time, then there's just a few other pieces of paper that kind of only suggest that there's like a tomahawk, a tree, a flower for sure. And yeah, and then yet again, the splattering in this one is so dramatic that one must be very careful how to place the rest of your picture on that much of a, if this was strictly a painting or, a Jackson Pollock looking composition even, that would be cool enough. But this way, you've just put a whole new like banner or something in there that is marching right over this picture, which, yeah, that's no further questions, Your Honor.
Well, how do you feel about others seeing different things in your work that you
Oh,
don't
I love it
see? I mean,
because,
you describe it like a Rorschach test.
yeah, that
of,
too, and or it's for everyone else. Like the interpretation comes from the viewer. That's why the pictures speak for themselves and why I should, I guess, do more talks about my work, but it really is the pictures speak for themselves, but not so much they speak for themselves. The person takes it on as it's their duty to try to have a visual experience with the artwork and take it into their own psyche and find out what they think this all means. And that is looking at these right now on these screens are just like, it's a wackadoodle kind of thing to see.
You're seeing them anew.
Yeah, and or to see pictures like this. Or I love looking, it sounds so conceited, but I do love looking at my artwork way after I've made it. And it was like maybe some of these pieces do give me a lot of grief when I'm trying to put them together and get them just right. There's lots that are ruined somewhere along the way that I just have to scrap them and I could just tear a corner off and start another picture and be complete success. So you can kind of see that in some of these as it is.
So you have a summary of your artist statement
Yes, I
that I
do.
think we can.
It's right up there on the screen.
Share
Oh,
that.
wait, there's the picture of the gallery.
Yeah.
Lovely. Every day of my artistic life, I think of getting it just right. To balance each move one makes is a task. Gazing at my pictures is an important part of the process just to see if they are visually sound and meditative, if they are pleasurable for the viewer. I'm always interested in how my pictures may look to others and how they are felt by the viewer. I would rather have their feedback than for someone to say nothing at all. And I would like to thank Shar Norman, decent person,
Curator,
Kat Sheridan,
director of the Rife Gallery,
Anna
Giota
Panikiota,
Corniotis,
Corniotis,
sister at the Rife.
and the Ohio Arts Council, and all my friends and family. I couldn't do it without you. Thank
was
you so much. But
Yeah, so let's have some Q&A here. Also, for anyone that I feel like, you need more Michael work, make
okay,
out here. So Michael, I find something really refreshing about your work in that you have no preciousness, right? Like you disregard the precious. And I wonder if you could talk, does that ability come from the fact that you're so prolific? Do you feel like that's a part of it? Like that there will be another piece, and it might come from a piece. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Your ability to divorce from preciousness?
okay. I think maybe you're onto something in that I just explained that I have so much material. So it is almost like I have material enough to make collages for 10 lifetimes, right? it will never run out, and that I keep getting things which is, I keep getting like maybe another whole lot of things are coming from the flea market or coloring books that are messed up, and I use those kind of things quite a lot. So yeah, I think maybe you're onto that, which yeah, there's lots of yeah, lots to that. Meaning, yeah, I don't think that that whole preciousness and or even thinking of tearing up stuff that's really kind of worthwhile, like old posters and things like that. It's of no, that's not real. Of course, I'd be like, wow, this could be saved and made or, enjoyed as what it is, a poster, but I sure could use all those pieces of that. So I think if that's what we're trying to get at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I think that even then, like some of those, the parts and pieces are precious, but putting them together with other things that they don't really normally go with, that's kind of the tension that I guess I'm going after all the time.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you for that.
thanks.
Can you reflect a little more on your retrospective? How did it feel to see all your work together? How did that impact you?
Dude, I don't mean to use that expression like that, but it was unbelievable. It was like standing room only.
3 galleries of his work.
What a
Yeah.
celebration of like, after doing all of that for all those years. Yeah, it's like unbelievable. And or the gallery, and like much like I'm sure what you all do, the programming is there to really not just hype an artist or, like in today's times, like where, it's not like Instagram or anything like that. It is like your actual work. And it's, you know, and that facility or the gallery that is, and their programming is there to really get that point across that here's this work. It's been a long time coming, honest, and there it is. And so for me, yeah, to see all my work out there and this whole thing that you saw a little bit of when they showed all of my early work, which I was like so embarrassed, truthfully, to have that being shown, it is kind of like, wow, do we really have to have all my like, not my little kid artwork or any of that, but it turned out that was so popular. People love looking back, like, where did this come from? Where did my current 70-year-old artwork come from? That it could be the beginnings, could be either so primitive or whatever they are, but still, yeah, it was great. If that's what you're asking, I loved it.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, how did did it shift anything for you in your
You
practice, or
know,
did
I
it just
I
like
think it did. It
magnify
made
your
Yeah,
enthusiasm?
it made it more like serious, I think, in a way. And then just us even talking about merchandise and all that that sounds so corny. It's like, I need a tote bag. And there is something to that. It's like
It's validating.
yeah, it's validating, but in another way, it is like kind of even just talking like merchandising, like my artwork. My pictures should be um even how about this?
It did spark ideas for other
Spark idea,
projects.
of course, even to have like wallpaper, and then I'm like shower curtains, things like that, like, and just to be the Beastie Boys should be using my work for their album
Well,
covers, or
you've done album covers.
well, no, but seriously, I'm saying those kind of things come to mind, but especially retrospective in your hometown and see all those people crowding in to see it. And if it is like all of the other things that we hear about this, like how long does it take you to make your artwork? Or like how long, and even when I gave a talk at the Contemporary Arts, no, excuse me, at the Weston Art Gallery, it is one of those kind of things where you can't believe, like with there's question and answer, which we're kind of dealing with right now, but you'll have people just really wanting to know everything, right? More than they really need to know, but they're like it's almost like getting the lid off of something that's really tight and then just like, okay, now let's hear it all. Like where, just like Kelly was asking me, where my inspiration comes from. what were you thinking about? Like, what were you thinking? Like, that is great right there. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, building context so that it deepens the experience for a viewer is incredibly
yeah.
important.
Oh, they
Important.
love it.
It's so important.
Yeah.
And I wonder, so what we talked about this briefly when we met before about the importance of those marks, those inky marks that
Okay. Yeah.
get repeated. There's something going on there with kind of evidence of human, right? So whether
Mhm.
you're intentional or very, just gestural, how take us through how you might put together, what are you discovering? Take us through a piece, like the process.
Okay. Right. Well, so the splattering part of it, the ink kind of thing where, and I do really, that's been kind of like a clever sort of gimmick, I guess, in a way of like how to get those shapes that then suggest, like, even if it's human or like primitive, kind of like, mark making, and then like those will lead me to, oh, I have to put like a leaf on that stem, make it look like an arm or a leg, kind of. I hear you. So that is, it's been a bit of a almost like a crutch, but and or a good one where I am like, wow, luckily one of these very, very spontaneous, by chance did I come up with these shapes from some of my splattering that I got a reason to fill it in with all the other elements that I need to put in to make it say something or to make it look human or, you know, zoomorphic or one of those kind of things to make it look like it's coming alive. So,
Yeah. So Michael, how do you know when a piece is finished?
real good question. That is another one of those things where contemplating what your pictures, when they're ready, hit it or quit it kind of thing, pump it or dump it, a better one, where you have to come into the room again after you've walked away from it, see it from a different angle, maybe the pinhole where you look from far away, look at it a different light. And yeah, so that is the kind of thing to find out once the balance, once the scale is just so, then you're like done, like finito. You can't, oh, and then you can't go and try to rework it some of those times because that is a dangerous um,
Sounds like
occupation.
you speak from experience.
Oh, yeah, I would know that, right? But I'm just saying, you really have to be careful to get it just right. And then, and it is like kind of the gods must be crazy or something. You've got to know that, you know, they mean, or that you are with those forces. You are working on a very, very serious mission, my work as an artist. It's not, this isn't a joke. It's like each one of these pictures is going to be, you know, like my legacy in a way, right? And you realize it's not like kind of like, oh, once I'm gone or none of that. I'm just saying, like, even while I'm working, I like to look back on my work, like I was saying, even retrospective or whatever. Each thing is retrospective. Each day you're looking back at, what you've done, and you're either proud of it or you're not. And you've got to, and you don't want to cover up some kind of like bad stretch or patch of, where my work didn't look that great. I'm really happy with what my work is looking like because it's starting to, or has been, and or even from some of my recent success, even I've made some pictures since I saw you all. And so that like says it right there. It's not like kind of like, oh, I've had some um sparse times where nothing comes out of me or artist block. I can't do a picture for the life of me. And then other times it's like fast and furious, like there's no stopping it. And the pictures come out like, wow, like all kinds of pictures that are in the making. So I can see that even from looking at those pictures of my studio apartment, not studio apartment, but studio slash apartment, you can see that there's all kinds of work that's just, it's making itself. It's like, there it is. It's like you just have to stumble in there, grab some pieces. I could do it blindfolded at this point. So yeah, pretty amazing, really, when you think about it.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I wonder,
I'm
you
look, I,
obviously,
I'm
you've,
looking at the people that are coming in on the
what's
Zoom.
that?
Please ask a question.
Yeah, no biggie, but it's the valued customer. I see that. It just cracks me up.
Oh,
All right.
yeah, yeah. So you've clearly, I mean, you note that you have had periods where you have struggled to make a piece, but
Yeah,
clearly
yeah.
pushed through that. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about, like, what have you employed? What things have you done to ensure that you get back to the space where you feel um, competent and completed by the action of making?
Oh, well, yeah, you are like, I guess the question you're asking, you got to find out if you are anointed or something like that. Like, am I ready to go back into the service of making artwork? Meaning me being me and, really being true to your, what your trade really truthfully is. So yeah, it's been times where I have had to snap out of it and just start making artwork because it's not like that's money. It surely isn't that. But because spiritually and everything else, I have to be, I have to work. So,
Perfect. I think that's a really great place for us to end. Michael, thank you again for the
oh,
general.
thank you so much. You all have been too kind.
It's been wonderful to have you. For everyone watching again, this is an artist talk by Michael Scheurer as a
Mhm.
part of our programming for In Ohio. Special thank you to curator Char Norman. A big thank you to all the other participating artists as well as the Ohio
Definitely.
Board. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm cool. I'm good with everything. Thanks to Kelly and thanks to
Yes.
everybody. Thanks to
Huge
everybody
thanks to
involved.
Kelly.
Kelly, I know. Big up Kelly. True.
All right. And thank you to also the Ohio legislature, the governor, all who support the Ohio Arts Council, this great space, and
Yeah,
Ohio.
definitely. All right.
Thanks,
Cool.
everyone. Have a great
Bye.
day.